So here we are, Shaheen Soorani against Todd Anderson. Todd Anderson leads by 1-0. You see Shaheen there, control master. There's Todd Anderson, strong sad on Twitter. StarCityGames.com writer. Busy elevating his game right now to a significantly higher level, really, than ever before. Always been a strong deck builder. You see Shaheen kicking off with Inquisition of Kozilek, and you're going to clearly see it's a reanimated deck. Animate Dead, 2 Reanimate, Grizzlebrand, Force of Will, and a couple of land.
You take the Animate Dead or the Force of Will here, Rich.
Okay.
I mean, you don't certainly if there's only one Reanimate.
Yeah, you can't
target.
So you can't take Force of Will because of what Inquisition does.
Oh, right, because it's mana cost. Yeah. But
I'd like to take Force of Will.
It's sort of free.
It's right. It's sort of.
Yeah.
It sort of costs 0 most of the time. Although we have seen a hard cast Force of Will this weekend.
And as we established yesterday, converted mana cost is the top right-hand corner, no matter how often they use it some other way.
But when he takes the Animate Dead, he leaves him with the 2 Reanimates. Because Reanimates always cost life.
Yes. Yeah, because of the converted mana cost. It's a recurring theme this one.
Yes.
So his Thoughtseize back the other way, and you will see a Stoneforge Mystic, a Batterskull. I believe that's a Cabal Therapy. Could be wrong. No, maybe not. Yeah, he's got 1 Cabal Therapy in his sideboard. Maybe that comes in. In any case, Stoneforge Mystic has bitten the dust. It is Cabal Therapy. So Cabal Therapy, Batterskull, 2 land. So Anderson in reasonable shape early, but here's Cabal Therapy from Shaheen. He's going to say, reanimate, and he's going to find 2. Who knew? Back to Todd, who looks like he's drawn one of his gigantic monsters that shouldn't be in his hand, really. Tidesbound Tyrant. Shaheen to 19 will attempt a Stoneforge Mystic. He will find that countered via Force of Will. And already, in a blizzard of cards, Todd's down to 1 card, and it's Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, he's going to have to live a little bit of a dream here to...
So he's into Top Deck Magic. Assorted versions of Top Deck Magic. 6 land in a row.
Yes. Let's not forget that the Cabal Therapy has flashback.
Yep.
And that's sacrificing creature, which of course Shaheen would have once he gets that Batterskull going. Although I think that Germ Token getting into the red zone is probably a little better than the discard at this point.
Todd has a City of Traitors and a Force of Will. His first couple of draws post having just Grizzlebrand in hand. Brian Kibler is just about to tweet his result for all you followers out there, but we, through the wonders of modern technology known as speech and ears, are about to tell you that he beat Drew Levin by 2-0.
Amusingly enough, for the card that I told him that should be in my sideboard, and she said it shouldn't.
You see the Wasteland, Wasteland Caracas.
Intuition?
Intuition.
I do believe.
Yeah.
Again, a one-of in his main deck.
Thumb was a little on top of it there. They go back right in that order, so he draws the Intuition. It says go.
It was interesting late last night, wandering through the halls of multiple connected hotels and just seeing these little eddies and flows of little magic groups, either, kicking back and talking over the day, or still trading at midnight, or, huddling around a draft table, and the gamer lifestyle on a Saturday evening.
I actually had a very nice young woman stop me as I was getting coffee and ask, so what's a gamer?
Wow, that's actually a pretty interesting question.
Well, and I said, well, I mean, strictly defined, it's just the person who plays games. So we're all gamers, from the Monopoly player to the most deep
Sure.
strategy and tactics, but more colloquially, you know, gamer is part of the culture that is in depth in the hobby gaming life.
Sure.
You know, there's a target demographic,
Yeah.
but as we can see, you know, there are folks from all walks of life here, all ages. You know, there are young teenagers playing in side events. There are old fellas like me and Scott Marshall. So there's a lot. You know, we talked briefly. It was just over putting my Splenda in my coffee.
Yeah. The 30-second version of the
Right.
gamer lifestyle.
Right. And the mainstream, quite honestly, the mainstream appeal that gaming has gained in the last several years. All right, so the intuition, there's a click,
A snap
Snapcaster.
custom age and surgical extraction.
and Anderson sort of snap called.
You can have the click. Yeah, he more click called because the snap went to the
Yeah.
said with just the correct amount of contempt. So well done.
Yeah.
Spot on. Dialed precisely. And there is Ventilian click.
Target you.
And I've drawn another City of Traitors to go with my Grizzlebrand and that Force of Will.
So, I mean, Todd has probably cited in show and tell. So do you ship away the Grizzlebrand here?
I guess you probably do. Well, it's just going to pass and say off you go. Another land for Todd. Which, although he's revealing that he's now got exactly the same hand, obviously he doesn't want to be playing City of Traitors at this point.
Right.
So, the click will come in and start the beats. And then Shaheen, who now has the appropriate number of land for a kind of traditional mid-rangey control deck, you know, in the 5, 6, 7
Right.
range, is now starting to think about doing things rather than stopping other people doing things. And that's the laugh of Brian Kibler, by the way, in case you didn't instantly recognize it.
Sort of hidden away to the top left of the screen on Sheen's side is that Caracas. So he's actually not particularly frightened of Grizzlebrand at the moment, at least as an attacker. Todd is brainstormed.
Looks like Caleb Durwood has just finished his first match of the day. It also looks like he's walking away without a result slip.
Anderson cracking the fetch land, getting an underground C. And he's going to study carefully.
And he will draw a Force of Will and a land.
Which he knew were there.
And shockingly, Grizzlebrand is now in the graveyard.
Third underground C. And he's going to study again. Again, like we talked about late in the broadcast yesterday, Legacy players play with a lot of their decks, with a large percentage of the 60 that they brought.
Yeah, and right there is to follow you up precisely what you were saying yesterday. Off that careful study, he draws 2 ponders. I'll see 3 more. I'll send them away. I'll draw a card. I'll cast the other ponder. I'll see 3 cards. And yeah.
And you know, all very, very cheaply too. You know, the very low mana cost to get all this done. And his storm count's pretty high his turn already.
Maybe that's the next iteration of the deck, the alternate wing condition. Tendrils you. Yeah, I decided not to reanimate. I'm just going to tendrils you. Going to seam my deck with ponders and studies.
Well, there's an Elishnorn.
And an animate dead. And a land. So, shuffle time. I mean, Todd could pull this out. Which, given that, as we know, there was a point in this game where his hand was just Grizzlebrand.
Right.
And Shaheen had lots of everything. Didn't see what Todd drew there. That was a nice draw. Alas, he has enough. He can pay for an actual God's honest force of will. So he just checks his mana. Yeah, so no, so he put in the force of will back. No, he must take and keep the force of will, surely.
Yeah, I mean he only needs these 2 hits.
Yeah. So in come the boys. So now all that can.
Then he's going to flash back. Right. He's going to flash back the Cabal Therapy by sacrificing the click.
Because now Todd is in range with just the one Batterskull pile in. Todd is not at 10. I don't believe.
Sheen looking.
Yeah. Todd's down to 3.
Sheen looking for anything that he remembers getting revealed that's not already in the graveyard.
Well, yeah, in a sense, don't you? I know there are 3 Force of Will already in Todd's graveyard, but do you not maybe say that on the basis that the only thing you can die to when you have a Force of Will of your own is an animate dead / reanimate, and well, not reanimate, but an animate dead with Force of Will backup.
Right.
That's the only combination that beats you.
Right. Well, see the show and tell.
No, I see a game 3.
Yeah. All right.
That was good fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, it was good back and forth. We saw a lot of action in that game.
I genuinely thought so for a moment there that Todd was going to find his way back into that.
Well, he certainly was on the cusp of coming back, or at least getting back into it.
I can tell you that both Conley Woods and Mary Jacobson are still playing in not against each other, I hasten to add, here in round 10.
Looks like Mary is wearing her New Year's Eve hat.
That sounds to me like there's a story there.
That's the kind of, I mean, look at the hat. It's sparkly.
It's sparkly and pink.
It's sparkly and pink, fedora-like.
Did she borrow it from Rashad?
Rashad Miller. Did Mary Jacobson borrow that hat from you?
The pink sparkly hat. Is that one of yours?
No, that's too small.
Too small.
Yeah.
Wrong size.
It's fairly similar.
Yeah.
Okay, Rashad mentioning he has one of similar style.
But he has a bigger head.
Yeah.
I'm a lot smarter.
There's more brain to stick in there.
I can see that's what he'd want to tell himself.
Yes. So Todd now going on to the play.
Yeah, so it's red alert time for Shaheen from the get-go. You want a Force of Will.
Yes.
That's port of call number 1. So, well, I would have Todd as favourite here. I mean, Shaheen is going to play this deck until every card in it gets banned, pretty much, in any given format.
Right.
This is his MO.
Right.
It's either, can I play blue-white control? Not really. In that case, I better add a bit of black and then
Right.
play Alespa control.
Right. Well, I think there's a significant value for Magic players in playing to their style. You know, like Hefe was talking earlier, he likes combo. We talked frequently about Pat Chapin playing control styles, about Shaheen playing control styles, about Kibler playing creature styles, Ben Stark, making sure that his decks get into the red zone. You have to really play to where you are stylistically.
Okay. To be contrarian, although I do agree in broad terms, because you mentioned him specifically, Patrick Chapin, looking historically at Pro Tour performances in the last 4 to 5 years, I wonder how much better he would have done if he had not been forced by his own desires and general stylistic predilections to go down the route of cruel ultimatums and cryptic commands and vivid lands, and again we saw it Pro Tour Avacyn Restored. He was playing a 94 color 6 mana and upward control deck that won with 74 billion mana creatures, and, and that's his style, and yes, I'm exaggerating, I know, but he is the person who is positioned to create what is the best oddly coloured control deck in the format, and then plays it. And I do wonder what would happen if someone said, you know what, why don't you just learn to play aggro, or just acknowledge sometimes that this is not the best deck.
Right. Well,
because it isn't just him that doesn't win with it, it's the people who play it don't win with it. Reed Duke would be a good case in point, who crashed and burned, and it's just the deck didn't get there in Barcelona. And I would, and it's partly because of his role within a team. It's like when you are one of the absolute all-time greats at finding the best iteration of that kind of deck, of course your teammates are going to want you to build it and make it as perfect as it can, and then decide whether it's playable or not. By which time he's left with, well, even if it isn't working, what's he going to do? Audible into White Weenie? It's really tough for him.
At a certain point, you have to understand that you're trying to shoehorn a style into a format that it doesn't fit in.
Yeah, that it might not be ideally suited for.
So yeah, I mean, you do have to do that. But then, back like at GP Orlando, he
so good.
He specifically chose the right direction to go with that kind of with that blue-black control deck.
Yeah. And sometimes it's utterly tremendous, and he pilots it wonderfully, and gets there.
All right, we see Todd Anderson mulligan the 6, but his hand is pretty strong. You see the Reanimate there, you see a Force of Will there, you see an Animate Dead there, you see a Caracas. All he needs is something to pitch into the graveyard, and he's running full of gas.
Good to go. Shaheen, meanwhile, is going to ponder.
Also has a Brainstorm in his hand and a fistful of land, if I saw correctly.
So he draws into Inquisition of Kozilek, which I imagine... No, he's not going to go for it at that point.
He might not have any black mana in his hand.
So just land. Land number 3 for Todd. Passes the turn. Then is that a Shaheen upkeep Brainstorm?
Seems like.
Yeah.
Lotus Petal.
Yeah, and a Blazing Archon.
And a Grizzlebrand.
Yes. So that was the creatures that we said he needed. And then move on to the draw step. And now here's Inquisition. Todd is not going to fight about that because he cannot. You see Grizzlebrand, Reanimate, Animate Dead, Force of Will, Caracas.
Animate Dead seems to be the choice. Again, if he's going to get the guy back,
make him pay.
Make him pay. Interesting choice. Reiterate. Unless he's going to want him to cast the Animate Dead, then uses Caracas.
sacrifice.
Effectively, that means he effectively gets rid of both.
Yeah.
I mean, Shaheen feels like he's taking a step backward here. You know that Anderson is leading the action, and Shaheen's got to play some sort of defensive strategy. He can't lay any pressure on because he's got to start. He's got to start stopping.
Yeah. That was another animate dead that went into Todd Anderson's hand. Right now, Cabal Therapy would be very good.
Yes.
I'm going to see another Inquisition. So, off goes animate dead, because that's all that can be taken. Shaheen just making sure he's written down, just to check exactly what's in Todd Anderson's hand.
There, see double Force of Will and a fetch land.
As an Intuition, also in hand for Shaheen, a Thoughtseize. You know, the Black Disruption is so good in Legacy. It's so hard to remain unmolested.
Right.
On the other side, it's like, well, he's got to not draw Inquisition, he's got to not draw Thoughtseize, he's got to not draw into any of these things, not see a
All right.
Therapy.
I think it's going to start to be on here, Rich.
Okay.
Todd Anderson just pulled Inquisition and Show and Tell off of his Ponder.
And there's a Thoughtseize. So let's take a look at your hand and start making life difficult for you. So
There's the Spell Pierce, Thoughtseize,
Snapcaster, Intuition, Force of Will. Top to bottom, Thoughtseize, Snapcaster, Spell Pierce, Intuition, Force of Will. That's your 5. About to be 4.
about to be. We know Todd Anderson has an Animate Dead in his hand. We know he has Grizzlebrand in his hand. We know he has Force Will in his hand.
Coming together.
Again, we're here. This is turn 5.
Yeah, it's
And there's a lot of action that has happened already.
sure, and also the reanimate deck, because the headline is, well, you entomb a Grizzlebrand, then you reanimate a Grizzlebrand, then you draw 14 cards, then you kill them. Essentially, it's interesting how patient Todd's been this game.
Right.
Like, yeah, no rush. Now that is time on the round. These players have 3 extra minutes.
Okay.
From their walk across the tournament floor
See.
and sorting themselves out. So we will see. We'll wait for the judge to actually call time,
Right.
and then let you know how the
Right.
5 turns is
We'll
going
get our
to
crack
occur.
staff to signal us when they're moving into extra turns.
Yeah, they have 3 minutes.
And there's Intuition from Shaheen Soorani. What's he going on? We see a Vindicate there in his hand. He may be looking after Cabal Therapy. There's Snapcaster. Cranial Extraction.
So surgical.
Surgical extraction. Sorry, Surgical Extraction.
God, cranial extraction is a beating. Oh, what a super sexy card that was. Surgical Snapcaster Therapy. Now, am I right that right now Shaheen is playing for a draw?
Yes.
And when I say playing for, I don't mean he's attempting to get a draw somehow. I mean he cannot win.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he has enough time. I don't think he has enough time to win. So how do you divide this up here, Rich?
Carefully. Surgical Extraction is what he's given him. Cabal Therapy is in the graveyard. Here's Caracas for Caracas. Here's Snapcaster. And Shaheen is therefore going to have one more go round with Thoughtseize. See Force of Will, Show and Tell, and Grizzlebrand.
I mean, I think it's got to be.
Grizzlebrand bites the dust. Then here's Surgical Extraction. Phrase, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas sprang to mind there. Yes, all sorts of nonsense going on. Surgical Extraction occurs. Force of Will is obliged to say no, getting rid of Show and Tell, but there's Spell Pierce. Which has been exiled. Grizzlebrand is gone. There's another one, and shortly there'll be another one, and shortly after that there'll be another one, and that'll be the maximum of 4. If there's another one, we've got an issue.
You're right. I mean, if Todd has turns, well, his hand is empty now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Shaheen's hand is empty, Todd's hand is empty, there's only a Snapcaster on the board. I think we're pretty clearly looking at a draw without something crazy happening.
Yeah.
I mean, if with 4 turns, it's theoretical that Todd Anderson could get Blazing Archon through the red zone enough.
Sure. Shaheen's attacking for 2. Todd lays a land. And then says, here's an Entomb. Which I guess might be... Okay, Iona. Shaheen attacks for 2 again. Have we hit extra turns? They haven't announced it. He said, yeah, we're waiting for the judge to call. Feels to me like they've had their 3 bonus minutes, but we'll see. Just a land in hand for Todd. Shaheen will attack. Just doesn't have enough pressure. He wants a Batterskull.
Yeah.
Get it down. Get him hit.
Yeah, I
Got
mean,
a Jace. I mean, Shaheen now is all over this one.
right.
But he's going to Fate Seal Todd, leave a land on the top. Todd draws a land, passes. Joe Shaheen might get it because they still haven't called time. Todd concedes. I approve. Good man.
Good man.
I thought that might be one of those I'm down 2, but